You've been fasting for weeks, maybe months, believing that pushing through hunger is the ultimate sign of discipline. Yet, when you look in the mirror, all you see is exhaustion and irritability, rather than physical change, leaving you feeling like a failure. The truth is, the problem isn't your willpower, it's that you're lost between methods without knowing if your body sees hunger as a savior or an enemy. In this video, we will explore exactly what happens inside your body when you fast for 16 hours versus 23 hours, while breaking down insulin control to find the fine line between healing and harming yourself. Stick around until the end, where I'll reveal a secret tip to tailor your fasting window to your unique biological rhythm. If you're ready for a science-backed health journey, hit like and subscribe now, and let's get started. Part 1. The Core Science. Why Fasting Works. Fasting is not a test of willpower. It is a biological conversation between you and your body. And at the center of that conversation stands insulin. For years, we have been told that fat loss is simply a calorie equation: eat less, move more. Yet the human body does not operate like a spreadsheet. It operates like a finely tuned signaling system shaped by hundreds of thousands of years of evolution. Every time you eat, especially foods rich in carbohydrates and sugar, glucose floods into your bloodstream, and your pancreas immediately releases insulin as an urgent message. Food has arrived, store energy. Insulin is not an enemy. It is a guardian of survival, ensuring that your cells are nourished and your brain never faces a dangerous fuel shortage. But this very protection mechanism becomes the greatest barrier to fat burning in a modern world where food is always available and insulin rarely has the chance to fall truly low. To grasp this, imagine each fat cell in your body as a secure vault. Inside that vault lies stored energy droplets of fat you carry as a survival reserve. Insulin functions like the electronic lock on that vault. When insulin is high, the lock tightens, and the door remains sealed no matter how hard you train or how casually you skip meals. You may feel hungry, you may feel exhausted, yet biologically, your body is still in storage mode, not burn mode. Only when insulin drops low enough and stays low long enough does the lock loosen, the vault door crack open, and fat begin to flow into the bloodstream to be used as fuel. This is why fasting is not merely about missing a meal. It is about creating real time without food so that insulin can retreat to its baseline. That window of time carries deeper meaning than most people realize. In the early hours, your body still prefers to burn stored sugar. But as insulin continues to fall, a quiet metabolic shift begins. Your body gradually moves from glucose dependence toward fat reliance. Fasting, therefore, is not punishment. It is an invitation for your body to remember an ancient capacity, metabolic flexibility between two fuel sources. When you see insulin as the lock and fasting time as the key, it becomes clear that the problem is not whether you are disciplined enough, but whether you are giving your biology the right conditions to do what it was designed to do. Part 2. The Metabolic Switch. In the first hours of fasting, your body has not yet touched fat. It is still running on the most accessible fuel: glycogen, the stored sugar in your liver and muscles. Glycogen functions like a reserve fuel tank meant to carry you through short periods without food, such as skipping breakfast or doing a quick workout. Between 0 and 10 hours, your body behaves as if the next meal might arrive at any moment. So it prioritizes burning sugar and keeps insulin just high enough to protect long-term energy stores. You may feel hungry, but biologically you are still running on yesterday's fuel rather than truly burning fat. Around the 10 to 14 hour mark, something crucial begins to happen. This is the birth of the metabolic switch. As glycogen levels fall, insulin is forced downward, and your body receives a clear signal that food is not coming immediately. That moment triggers an ancient survival mechanism. Fat cells unlock and release fatty acids into the bloodstream. The liver then converts those fatty acids into ketones, a clean, stable, and highly efficient fuel for the brain. Instead of relying on sugar, your brain starts adapting to ketones, making your energy steadier, less volatile, and far less prone to the crashes associated with glucose. If fasting continues beyond 14 hours, this state deepens and stabilizes. Your body gradually learns to run primarily on fat, like a car shifting from gasoline to electricity. This is not a stress response. It is optimization. Your metabolism becomes more flexible, less dependent on sugar, and better at using stored energy. Many people only experience real mental clarity, lightness, and emotional balance once this switch is fully engaged, not simply when they skip a meal. The central principle is simple yet often overlooked. Fasting only truly works when this metabolic switch is flipped. If you stop too early, snack frequently, or break your fast with calorie-containing drinks, your body keeps getting pulled back into sugar-burning mode and never fully enters fat burning. Therefore, the power of fasting lies not in suffering, but in giving your body enough uninterrupted time and the right conditions to complete the transition from a sugar consumer into a naturally fat-burning organism. Part 3. Brain benefits in the ketone state. When your body truly enters fat burning and begins producing ketones, the most profound changes do not only occur in your fat cells, they happen inside your brain. Ketones are not merely a backup fuel for glucose. They are a cleaner, steadier, and more stable energy source for the central nervous system. During this shift, the brain increases production of BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, a protein that acts like fertilizer for neurons. BDNF strengthens neural connections, supports memory formation, enhances learning, and promotes the growth of new synaptic pathways. In simple terms, when BDNF rises, your brain is not just functioning, it is being optimized. This explains why many people, after passing the initial hunger phase, suddenly report sharper focus, clearer thinking, and greater emotional balance. Mental noise quiets down, attention lasts longer, and mood becomes less reactive. This is not psychological hype. It is biology in action as the brain transitions from glucose to ketones. Glucose often creates energy spikes and crashes moments of alertness followed by fatigue. Ketones, in contrast, burn slowly and consistently, allowing the brain to remain steady for hours without dramatic swings. From an evolutionary perspective, this makes perfect sense. Our ancestors did not have refrigerators or grocery stores. They frequently faced periods of food scarcity. If hunger made their minds sluggish or panicked, they would not have survived. Instead, the human brain evolved to become more alert during deprivation, a survival advantage. In this light, fasting does not weaken cognition. It can activate a heightened state of clarity and awareness. Yet the crucial point many people miss is this. These benefits do not occur simply because you are suffering from hunger. They only appear when your body has fully completed the metabolic switch to fat and ketone production. If you have only skipped a meal or two, insulin may still be elevated and your brain remains dependent on glucose, leaving you feeling irritable, foggy, or drained. Only when the metabolic switch is truly engaged does the brain enter a ketone state, and that is when improvements in focus, memory, and emotional stability become genuinely noticeable. Part 4. Intermittent fasting, 16/8. A gentle and sustainable approach. The 16/8 fasting method is not a harsh test of endurance, but a biological rhythm designed to move with your body rather than against it. Instead of pushing you into extremes, it functions like a steady daily cadence, similar to breathing, heartbeat, or sleep cycles. It does not shock your system. It gradually retrains how your body uses energy, step by step, subtly yet powerfully. First, the biological mechanism of 16/8. After dinner, insulin typically remains elevated for several hours as your body digests, absorbs, and stores nutrients. During this phase, your body prioritizes burning glucose from the bloodstream and glycogen from the liver rather than fat. But as hours pass without food, insulin naturally declines. Around 10 to 14 hours after your last meal, the metabolic switch begins to engage fat cells, slowly unlock. Fatty acids are released, and ketone levels rise. With a 16/8 schedule, most people spend roughly 2 to 6 hours per day in this fat-burning state. That may not sound dramatic, but daily repetition is where the true power lies. Over time, your body becomes smoother and more efficient at switching fuels. Second, cumulative benefits over time. When practiced consistently, 16/8 improves insulin sensitivity, meaning your cells respond better to smaller amounts of insulin. This leads to more stable blood sugar, fewer sugar cravings, and fewer midday energy crashes. At the same time, your metabolic flexibility improves. Your body becomes less dependent on glucose and more comfortable using fat as fuel. Another key benefit is the preservation of lean muscle mass due to increased growth hormone during fasting periods. Rather than burning muscle, 16/8 tends to protect it while prioritizing fat loss, especially when paired with strength training or regular movement. Third, real-life advantages. One of the greatest strengths of 16/8 is its practicality. You can still eat lunch with colleagues, have dinner with family, and maintain a normal social life without feeling isolated or awkward. There is no need to carry special meals or constantly explain why you are not eating. Many people also experience better sleep because they stop eating late at night, allowing their body to rest instead of digest. For busy professionals, gym-goers, or anyone with a packed schedule, 16/8 fits naturally into daily life without creating excessive mental or physical stress. Fourth important limitations to keep in mind. 16/8 is not an automatic health solution if food quality is poor. If your eating window is filled with sugar, ultra-processed foods, or sugary drinks, insulin may never drop low enough for effective fat burning. Likewise, if you overeat during the 8-hour window to compensate for fasting, the benefits can disappear almost entirely. In other words, 16/8 does not replace smart nutrition. It amplifies the effects of a healthy diet. Ultimately, 16/8 is not about perfection, but rhythm. You do not need to hit exactly 16 hours every single day. Consistency, gentleness, and sustainability matter more. When done well, 16/8 does not feel punishing. It feels lighter in your body, clearer in your mind, and calmer in your relationship with food. That is the true sign that you are working with your biology, not fighting it. Part 5. OMAD. Powerful, but not neutral. OMAD, one meal a day, has long been wrapped in the image of simplicity, discipline, and maximum efficiency. For many people, it sounds like a compelling promise. Fast almost the entire day, burn fat harder, think more clearly, and perhaps even live longer. But beneath this simple surface lies a complex biological mechanism where benefits and risks exist side by side. OMAD is not inherently right or wrong. It is a very powerful tool. And like all powerful tools, it can heal or harm depending on how it is used. First, the potential benefits of OMAD. When you fast for 23 hours, glycogen, the stored sugar in your liver, is almost completely depleted. This rarely happens with shorter fasting protocols. Once glycogen is empty, your body has no real choice but to move deeply into fat-burning mode. Ketone levels rise significantly and become the primary fuel for both brain and body. In this state, many people report exceptionally sharp clarity, cleaner thinking, less brain fog, and more sustained energy throughout the day. Some even describe OMAD as a form of mental simplicity. No need to think about meals, no calorie counting, just eat once and be done. For people who already have good metabolic flexibility, OMAD can break through weight loss plateaus, intensify fat burning, and stimulate deeper cellular repair processes, such as autophagy, more strongly than 16/8 fasting. Second, the hidden costs when breaking the fast. However, the power of OMAD always comes with a biological shock when the fast ends. After nearly a full day with very low insulin, you suddenly introduce almost an entire day's worth of calories, protein, fiber, and micronutrients in a short window. This triggers a rapid insulin surge, a hormonal whiplash, that researchers describe as a sharp internal swing from scarcity to abundance. Your endocrine system must shift modes instantly, creating physiological stress that many people do not consciously notice. The second consequence is paradoxical blood sugar dysregulation. In some individuals, morning blood glucose the next day can actually be higher than in people eating 3 meals daily, not because OMAD fails, but because the body is still processing the large evening meal. The liver, pancreas, and gut work intensely overnight, making glucose regulation slower and less stable. The third cost lies in the digestive system. Packing nearly a day's nutrition into one meal can overwhelm the stomach, intestines, and gut microbiome. Common results include bloating, acid reflux, indigestion, and even disrupted sleep due to late or heavy digestion. Many people feel physically weighed down after their OMAD meal, the opposite of the lightness they experienced while fasting. Finally, there is the quiet risk of micronutrient deficiency. In a single meal, it is genuinely difficult to consume adequate, high-quality protein, potassium, magnesium, B vitamins, and especially fiber, all essential for muscle health, heart function, nervous system stability, and gut well-being. Over time, these nutritional gaps can accumulate unnoticed, showing up as fatigue, cramps, digestive issues, or declining energy. Third, an honest conclusion about OMAD. OMAD is not wrong. For some people, it can be an excellent tool to reset metabolism, break weight plateaus, and enhance biological flexibility. But OMAD is absolutely not neutral. It is not something everyone can adopt without careful consideration. OMAD is most suitable for people who already have strong metabolic flexibility, meaning they can switch smoothly between burning sugar and fat for those with prior fasting experience who understand their body's signals, and especially for those under medical supervision if they have health conditions or specific goals. For beginners, OMAD is often too extreme. It can push the nervous system into stress mode, elevate cortisol, disrupt sleep, and create a strained relationship with food. Instead of healing metabolism, OMAD can sometimes become a cycle. Extreme restraint during the day, followed by intense overeating at night. The key message is not OMAD is good or bad, but rather OMAD is a tool, not an identity. You are not stronger because you fast 23 hours, and you are not weaker if you choose 16/8. True strength lies in listening to your body, recognizing when a method supports you and when it is quietly working against you. When used by the right person, at the right time, and in the right way, OMAD can be a powerful biological lever, but when used incorrectly, it can become stress, rhythm, disruption, and an unhealthy relationship with eating. Therefore, the real question is not, how long can I fast? But rather, how does my body respond after each day of fasting? Part 6. Who should choose what? Fasting is not a one-size-fits-all formula. It is more like a set of biological tools. The same tool can heal one person and destabilize another. Therefore, the right question is not which method is better, but which method fits your body and your life right now. First, the safe starting point. 16/8. If you are used to eating 3 to 5 meals a day, your metabolism is likely still quite dependent on glucose. In that case, jumping straight into OMAD is like forcing a car that has never driven fast onto a highway. The risks outweigh the benefits. 16/8 functions as a biological bridge. It is long enough to lower insulin and activate fat burning, yet not so extreme that it shocks your nervous system or hormones. For beginners, 16/8 helps the body relearn how to tolerate periods without food, without panicking. After a few weeks, many people notice more stable blood sugar, fewer sugar cravings, steadier energy, and clearer thinking. Sleep often improves as well because they stop eating late, allowing the circadian rhythm to realign naturally. More importantly, 16/8 teaches a core skill: eating with intention instead of habit. This approach is also well suited for busy professionals, gym goers, and anyone who wants to reduce body fat while preserving muscle and performance. It allows you to build a solid metabolic foundation before considering deeper fasting methods. Second, groups who should avoid OMAD. OMAD is powerful, but not appropriate for everyone. Pregnant or breastfeeding women need consistent energy and micronutrients to nourish both mother and baby, so prolonged fasting can be risky. People with a history of eating disorders should also avoid OMAD, as it can trigger cycles of restriction, binging, guilt, and renewed restriction, worsening their psychological relationship with food. Those with low blood pressure may experience dizziness, fatigue, or dangerous drops in pressure during long fasts. Individuals with type 1 diabetes or those taking medications that affect blood sugar must carefully manage insulin. OMAD can create dangerous fluctuations without medical supervision. The key message is this: fasting is not a toughness test, it is a biological tool. If you belong to any of these groups, the safer path is structured, balanced eating with medical guidance rather than chasing long fasting windows. Ultimately, the answer to who should choose what comes back to a simple principle: start gently, observe your body, and adjust gradually. For most people, 16/8 is a wise starting point. OMAD can be a next step, but only when your body is truly ready, and only when you use it as a purposeful tool rather than a badge of discipline. Part 7. Signs you are doing it right. The most important measure of fasting is not your weight, the number of hours you fast, or how tough you can be. It is how your body feels and functions after you have practiced it consistently. In other words, the real results of fasting do not appear instantly in the mirror. They show up in your nervous system, your energy, your sleep, and your relationship with food. After about 1 to 2 weeks, pause and ask yourself 4 simple but powerful questions. First, am I sleeping better? If you are on the right path, your sleep will usually become deeper, less restless, and you will wake up more easily in the morning. This happens because your body is no longer digesting heavy meals late at night. Your insulin is more stable, and your circadian rhythm gradually returns to its natural order. Conversely, if you experience insomnia, anxiety, or frequent middle-of-the-night awakenings, that may be a sign that your fasting approach is stressing your nervous system. Second, is my energy more stable? When fasting is done correctly, you should not feel constantly drained or dependent on coffee. Instead, your energy becomes more even throughout the day, with fewer sudden crashes after meals, and less of that overwhelming afternoon sleepiness. This is a sign that your body is becoming better at burning fat rather than relying solely on sugar. Third, do I feel less anxious around food? One of the most subtle benefits of healthy fasting is a calmer mindset toward eating. You no longer feel trapped by strict meal schedules. You do not panic if you miss a meal, and you do not feel guilt after eating. Food becomes nourishment rather than a source of stress. Fourth, do I have fewer cravings? Cravings are often a signal of unstable blood sugar and sugar dependence. If you are doing well, intense urges for sweets, fried foods, or ultra-processed snacks will gradually decrease. You will find it easier to choose what you truly want rather than being driven by habit or stress you eat because you are genuinely hungry, not emotionally triggered. If your answer to most of these questions is yes, then you are on the right track, regardless of whether you chose 16/8 or OMAD. Your body's response matters far more than the method itself. On the other hand, if you are becoming more exhausted, more irritable, more obsessed with food, and sleeping worse, that does not mean you lack discipline. It likely means you are using the wrong tool for your body. Ultimately, fasting is not about proving your strength. It is about helping you live more comfortably inside your own body. When done right, fasting does not feel like a battle. It feels like returning to a natural rhythm your body has always known.